Minute, guys. 1 minute, guys. Here we go. Let's have a good show.
1B, stand by. Okay,
Yeah.
Yacht,
Yeah,
take it.
take it at midfield.
Okay,
Just go
take
right
it.
now.
Okay,
Go to camera 3.
Can
3.
you
Go
put-
to the get
Thank you.
perfect, just like that.
I'll just go ahead.
Yeah, graphics 2 is going to be up for the first. Okay.
Take it.
Go right now. Go to camera
Pose
3.
2.
Go. Yep. Go right there. Just go right there. Go all the way up. Go to AC box.
Thank you.
I'll just go ahead.
Yep. Graphics 2 is
30 out.
no music.
I'm going to hatch back. 1B, stand by. Okay, take it. Take it. Well, pose 2. Q, Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it.
And can you pull? Thank you.
On radio in the Canal Zone. A service of
Yep.
SCPL.
Go right. Wait for it. Wait for it.
And can you pull? Sophie.
Wait for it. Wait for it. 2.5 minutes,
Can you-
and then we're going to play shading for the first
10,
couple of minutes.
9, 8,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
and we're live.
Okay, and go for it, guys.
Hello, Canal Zone. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
To the Balboa Yacht Club, the happy hour at the BYC. It is March 29th of 2024. And real quick, before we proceed, I'm going to take this opportunity to wish my daughter a happy birthday. Today's her 24th birthday. So, Taylor, happy birthday to you. And wishing you many more happy birthdays. But anyhow, Ricky, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Todo bien over here in California. Little cold, little rainy, but we're good.
Right on. Right
Ready
on.
for tonight. Looking forward.
Yeah, it's a good show, man. We got a lot of cool stuff here. Laura Kosik's joining us from the Panama Canal Society. Going to talk a little bit about the reunion and some fun stuff there. And then Andrew Eftimitis, Captain Andrew Eftimitis is joining us. He's going to be talking about the Panama Canal. That's a really, really cool show. That's something certainly we can all relate to, right? So
yes, and if you guys out there want to ask them any specific questions, just put it on the comments. We'll look at it, and we'll get it on.
Yeah, for sure,
With
for
Captain
sure.
Andy. Yep.
Yeah, no, it's going to be exciting. This is something we've been wanting to do. We're actually going to try and make this a regular series every couple of weeks or maybe once a month. The Panama Canal Report, and Andrew's going to tell us what's going on with the canal. Like right now, we know with some water shortages that they've been talking about. Heck, we've seen articles in the news that say that is the Panama Canal obsolete. So we're going to hear from Captain Eftimitis. He's going to tell us whether that is the case or not. So that's exciting. I also, real quick, before we move any further, last week we had Don Stock on the line, and he was telling us that cool story about the book he wrote. I went ahead and bought the book. Don, thank you. I'll be bringing it to the reunion so you can sign it, but I'm really looking forward to reading this. Doesn't look like it's a long read, guys. So go ahead and pick up that book and let's talk about it, because there's going to be some really cool stories there, and then we'll have Don back on to review the book and relive those stories. So, but that was really cool. Again, moving forward though, now let's talk about what's going on in Panama in the zone, the reunion with some bochinche. Ricky, what do you got, man?
Yeah, well, it's been a good week. Now that we're on, so a few of my friends have reached out. A lot of Balboa Ram guys have been reaching out. So, that part of our show looks like we're going to have some great conversations coming up soon. Also, on the bochinche side, let's start with some good bochinche, which is always the reunion, right? So this year, the famous, because it's not infamous, famous pool party that we always have, right? It's again going to be on Saturday, 1 p.m. You have to get your tickets to get in. But here's the deal. Okay, first, remember it's being sponsored by B&C Financial and Howler Monkey, as well as the reunion, as well as the hotel. So we got some good sponsor. But here's the really good part of the bochinche. Free beer, Willie, at the pool party. So, guys,
Free beer, Papa.
Yeah, make sure you all make it down to the pool party, which everybody normally does, Willie. I tell you, 2014, that was one of the most epic pool parties I've ever been a part of. And Carlton Morris has a lot of great pictures of that pool party. So it might be a good idea to look him up and see if he'd like to join us and talk about.
Well, for what it's worth, Carlton is the official photographer for this reunion. So be on the lookout. And you're right, he takes amazing pictures. So I'm looking forward to that. If you see him around, put your best Zonian look on, because you better believe a picture's coming around. So
He's coming around. So it'd be good to have him on, talk about, that. And like I said, the pool party, he's taking some great pictures. Then now more on the not so wild party side. One thing I want to point out is at the reunion, they got this pollera experience for the girls out there. And what that is, they have it, by the way, by appointment only. They have it on 2 days, July 5th and 6th. I think it's that Friday and Saturday. And what the girls do is that they put on all the trenquetes and the dress, and they make you look absolutely gorgeous, because there isn't a better dress anywhere in the world.
Amen. Right on.
At all the Miss Universe, that's always one of the top dresses. But you can put them on the pollera, get your pictures taken, videos, etc. So it's a great experience. Remember, by appointment only. So make sure, if you girls out there that want to do this, that to take advantage of it at the reunion. And then they also do this baile panameño class where they teach you the pasos.
Okay.
That one, Willie, has a deadline though. So if you want to sign up your kids, or you want to sign up for you and your spouse, you got to do it by May 31st. So Laura will probably talk about that on who to contact.
Cool.
It's kind of our reunion, bochinche. So I think that we're going to have a great reunion coming up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Willie,
I'm excited.
Yeah, one of the things I also like to do, Willie, on this segment is talk about the Canal record. Because again, I really believe that this is a great thing that we've had as a society for many, many, many years, pre-Facebook. All right.
Yeah,
so
right.
Last week I shout out to a couple. This week I have 2 new ones I want to shout out to, Willie. Starting with the Space Coast Sonians. The reporter for that group, which is, the east side of Florida, is Diana Grimison. Okay, now this is a tight-knit group. They have a lot of events. Last year they had 2 get-togethers, Willie, one in October and one in December. I guess these are popular restaurants. One was the George Dragon. I don't know if you guys from that area are familiar with it. And then the Pockets and Putters. But one of the great things they do, Willie, is they have this Space Coast annual Toys for Tots. Of course, the Grimasons would do something like that, right?
Right.
So you guys all donate either money, toys, whatever. They've been doing it for a while, and it's in December. So, give them a shout out and give them some support. And then while you're at it, my brother, Patrick Grimison, also lives in that area, and he's a birthday boy on the 29th. So make sure you say happy birthday to Patrick Grimison
Right on.
if you're down in that area. So that would be the Space Coast Sonians and Diana Grimison. So you guys, if you're in that area, look her up, contact her, give her the story, the bochinche, pictures, etc.
Right on.
Now, Willie, the next one, I selected it because they cover a huge area. They're called the Southeast Zonians. And that one is, the reporter for that one is David and Myra Seitz.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, everybody pretty much knows that couple. They've been together for a long time. So they're a beautiful Zonian couple. And David is the other part, the second part, or the partner of Alex Reyes in his famous band.
Yeah, Shorty and Slim.
Shorty and Slim. So he's got to be Shorty. All right.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
They represent 4 states. So you guys out there, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi. That's who they represent. So anybody in those states, make sure you look them up, give them your stories. Now, I want to shout out to a couple of people that David and Myra cover. One is my neighbor growing up, Robert Woods. So if you want to know about Robert, he's covered there on the Southeast Zonians. Great, great guy. And the second one, John Hewsome. I love those Hewsomes. Grew up with all the Hewsome family. I don't know if you knew them, Willie, but there was about 11 of them. If not,
I didn't
13.
know them, but the name certainly rings a bell.
Yeah, their father was one of the OG Canal Zone police captains. The top guy that the same job that Kessler had.
Yeah. My dad probably mentioned it because my dad mentioning it.
Yeah, so John has a sister that lives out here, Maureen Hewsome, and I kind of hang out with them and Elaine
Okay.
Peterson. Yeah, and Maureen's husband, or it might be Maria Esposo, Duncan Ballinger, great guy. He's a little older than us,
Yeah.
but he Willie, I want to mention this. He is the OG of the OG surfers. Those guys that discovered Catalina. Remember those old
Yeah.
old Fulzonians, like before Kiki O'Brien or during around that time.
Yeah.
I don't even remember Kiki O'Brien,
Mhm.
but he was Balboa High School, cool, but a surfer guy. He had his own line of surfboards called Cosa Mia. Well, anyway, excuse me. Duncan comes from that group. And that's what we got pretty much on the Bochinche side. So remember, two great reporters, Space Coast Sonians and the Southeast Sonians. Look them up, guys.
Very good. Very good.
That's
Absolutely.
what we have.
So good bochinche, guys. Good stuff there. Remember, guys, again, at the pool party, got the free beer, but you got to be part of the society. You got to have your membership up there. You got to be part of the reunion. Don't just show up to get some free beer, hang out, and leave. Okay, that's not what it's about, right? But we're going to know a little bit more about that in here now because we're going to start talking about the society. We've done it, every episode. But now we actually have somebody from the society that's going to join us. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring our first guest on to talk about the society and the reunion. All right. So welcome back, everybody. Laura Kosick, welcome to the show. Great to have you. We have somebody from the Panama Canal Society joining us. So welcome. The floor is yours. Glad to have you.
Hola, Laura.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
How you doing? How you doing? I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We give.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we give the society a lot of love here. So we love to have you on here. We'd love to have you on. Like you and I chatted about recently. Get you on all the time and let everybody know what goes on with society because we think the society is just the reunion in July, and it's a whole heck of a lot more. Ricky's talking about the Canal record. That's something you get as a membership in the society. So, I'm not going to steal your thunder, though. But, yeah, tell us about the society and what you got going on and your build-up for the reunion.
Well, first of all, I do want to appreciate you guys for plugging the society every time you're on. We thank you for that. I mean, it's a great support for us. I mean, we have to keep us together. We're a tight bond. Most of us knew each other since birth. So
Right.
some of us went to school together, and it's amazing how much that we keep in touch. And without the society, I don't think we would keep in touch.
Couldn't agree more.
We are a dying breed, but we need to keep together.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
We definitely need to do that because we all went to school together, and I find that with my kids, they're not doing that here in the States as much as we do. So we are very important and stay together. And with the we need to keep the future going with the society. Well, basically, I'm here. I'm going to be here for a brief time. Absolutely. I'm just going to be here briefly tonight. I'm not going to take full time here. I just wanted to appreciate you and not talk a whole lot about what's going on with the society, but I like people to sign up, become members. We've got our website that you can go and enroll. There's a lot of events in the website that goes on throughout the year, but around the States, we've got picnics on the West Coast, picnics on the East Coast. I mean, here in Florida, everywhere. So we got things going on throughout the year, and I want everybody to get involved. I just wanted to talk
absolutely.
more
No,
about
and I've got
an
the
event
website
that's
up there.
actually coming up. We are going to be having a there's the website. Yes. And by the way, the website is pancanalsociety.org. Okay, and what I wanted to talk about is that event there on April the 6th. It's held at the UF, University of Florida. The Friends of Museum is having a luncheon. It's going to be a great luncheon. It's a buffet. It's got all the Spanish food that, we all like. I'm holding here a book, the Canal Record. A lot of the information's in that book. It's in the December issue. And it talks on the buffet. So let's find out what's on the buffet here. Got arroz amarillo, yellow rice. We've got seasoned baked chicken. And I'm sorry, my Spanish is weak here. It's carne desmechada.
Pretty
and
good.
What do you think?
buttons and
I would eat that.
Ricky. I'm sorry. Flan is a dessert, tres leches. I mean, we got all kinds of stuff on that buffet.
Very good.
Also, while you're there at the luncheon, there's a display. Their theme this year is the railroad, the Panama Railroad. They're going to talk about
very
the
cool.
history of the railroad. Back in the early 1900s when the canal was being dug. They're going to talk about the progression of the railroad till today. So that's going to be a great subject to talk about. The museum, we have a representative there that comes to the every year. His name is John, and he'll be talking about what they show there at the museum. I've been there a few times. They have little golden frogs. They have high school items. That's where our bell is at, by the way. Both Cristobal and
right on.
Balboa. So that's where our bells are at.
Well, rumor has it that they need to negotiate with a John Stromberg maybe or somebody to that effect if they want to get the Balboa head, from what I understand.
That's true.
But,
That's too well, by the way. But it's all cleaned up.
right.
But it's a very great event. A lot of people go. I think the last time it was close to 150 people there for lunch.
Wow, right on.
So I think everybody should join. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because the deadline is Monday to reserve. So you can reach out to Kathy at the office. Of course, she's not there today and tomorrow, but by Monday, give her a call and sign up and go.
And
you can go up just for
Laura,
the day.
again, what day
If you live
and
here
where?
in Florida, just take a drive up and come back home.
Perfect.
Tell us again, Laura, what day and where?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
What day and where is that mini reunion?
It's going to be next Saturday, and it starts at 11 o'clock. Mathers.
There you go, guys. Saturday, April 6th at 11 o'clock.
It is called at 11 o'clock, U.S. Mathers Library. It's a really nice museum there. They got, obviously, the library.
I'll put that information up on the screen here in a bit as well, so we'll make sure everybody...
And this year that you're showing... The website that you're showing is out of University of Florida. And that link there you're looking at is all of our yearbooks have gone digital. So that's great if you want to go back to your yearbook, or anybody else, your parents. I've looked at my parents in there.
Oh yeah.
I've looked at my family, my grandmother. I'm a fourth generation, so I've looked all the way back in there.
And it's really cool that it's really laid out really nicely, this website, if you haven't been there, guys. And not just yearbooks. You can look at Spillway. We're going to do a segment, not this week, but maybe next week, where we pull up some old news articles from the Spillway to kind of reminisce on what was in the news going on back then. But a really cool feature of this is when you pull one of these things up, a lot of things that we look at, especially zoning memorabilia and photos, They may be a little grayed out. They're a little bit distorted and whatnot, and you can't really zoom in. Well, these guys have digitized this, and it's really high definition. You click zoomable here. Well, let's go into one of the pages there. But as you start going into these pages here, right, now you hit zoomable, and you can actually drag through that thing and really zoom into it to where you can get really, really close. And look, you don't lose any resolution on it. So it's really, really well made. If you want to pull up, especially like I said, the spillway articles, those fascinate me. You know, I pull up stuff from like December 8th, 1967, the day before I was born. What was in the news in the zone? And you pull it up, it's crystal clear. It's really cool. This is a really, really well made website and collection.
What website is that?
Right.
This is the library at the University of Florida.
University of Florida Library.com.
Yeah, let me get the link here, and I'll put it up on the screen there so everybody can get it here. But yeah, it like I said, guys, it is absolutely an incredible collection of different things here. Oh wait, let me pull it up here. Laura, you sent it to me earlier. I have it bookmarked. So you know what? I've got it bookmarked here. Hang on. And let's see. I have a tab here called Canal Zone. Duh. You think that would probably be where it would be? Yep, there it is.
Oh yeah, on the train we can bring in Tommy Morris. Doesn't he know about this stuff?
I'm assuming.
Doesn't he work with that company?
I don't know. It'd be good to find out. But here it is, guys. That's the site, and I'll put it in the chat also so that you guys can see it there. After this show tonight, we'll go ahead and put it in the SCN Canal Zone page as well, so you guys can find the link there. Check it out, guys. There's amazing graphics and just a lot of big memories on there. So, you know, there's hey, look, Ralph.
Our Panama Canal Museum has been around for 25 years. Did you guys know that? 25 years that we've done this. And it originally started with my I would say my step uncle. But he started here in Seminole, Florida, right here in Tampa Bay area.
Right on.
And then about 10 years ago, University of Florida took over. So we had to move all the items over there because where the museum was here, a lot of people were donating that it got so big, too big for that building that we had in there. That's how much we have there.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
So,
I saw it in Seminole. It was amazing to see.
Yes. Yeah. So they moved it over to the University of Florida about 10 years ago. And that's where they started the idea of digitizing a lot of our pictures, the reviews, you know, even the parakeet that used to come out with the Canal Zone College.
Heck yeah.
That's on.
Yeah. Which is the one that Balboa High School ran?
Well, they ended up with it as well. I think it became a Balboa High School publication afterwards.
You're right. I'm sorry. Yes, that's right. I misspoke. But yes.
But you know what's fascinating about that is that when you pull it up, I mean, you're looking at the parakeet from 1927. It's really, really cool.
Right.
I mean, it's, you know, the history there is just phenomenal, man. It's just fantastic. It's right on the screen there, Ricky. That's the one that we sent you before. Remember? Yeah, it is so cool. Everything that's on there. Oh, look at that. Okay, Keith Farron works for it. There you go.
Yeah. We gotta get one of those guys on. Talk about the train. Get some.
Yeah, for sure.
The new train.
So cool. Well, Laura, anything else you want to add here? And again, down the road, we definitely want to have a regular series with the society and get you on here. But we're gonna go ahead and.
Like I say, I'm doing this briefly tonight.
Go ahead. Your floor is yours.
I think we're having connection issues again.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, you know, just get everybody involved, sign up for membership. The next time I come on, I'll be more detailed about the membership and detail about all the events that we've got going on at the reunion that's coming up. Between now and the reunion, we're not having any picnics or lunches or anything. It's just the next event is the luncheon. So, excuse me, the next event is a reunion, I should say. I'm getting excited.
No, you have the dinner. You told us about a dinner.
Yeah, I'd like to come back, you know, next week, couple weeks, whenever I can, and we'll talk all about the reunion and all the events going on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, you guys, like I said before, I've always wanted to promote you guys and promote the society. And so, you know, you have an open invitation anytime if something comes up. You know, when the new officers for the new board or whatever are on board, if they want to, you know, come on board and say hello to people and get everybody to get to meet them, because you're absolutely right. We need to get a much younger crowd working this thing and getting involved to be able to successfully carry it over and not find ourselves one day looking around going, hey, what happened? Somebody turned the lights off. What's going on here? Right?
Exactly. We all
So,
share a common bond. We need to stick together.
amen.
You know, again, we all grew up together. It's just great to keep this. Society is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And real quick in the audience right now, show of hands or you name, if you're a member of the society, let us know. We want to encourage everybody to be a member of the society. So, you know, let us know out there and again, keep this Canal Zone story going. You know, we're going to do our part here, but really at this point in time, the society is really the glue that's keeping the Canal Zone together. So definitely get yourself involved, stay involved and help us keep this Canal Zone story, this beautiful story going longer and longer, because it really is a special story and we're all part of that story. So listen, Laura, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate having you on. You've been kind of my go-to person with the society to get this stuff going. So I appreciate that very much. And looking forward to having you on a regular basis to keep everybody informed on what's going on with the society. But again, thanks so much. Really, really appreciate you. Have a wonderful weekend, a happy Easter, and we will be talking to you soon.
Thank you. Before I go, can I just ask people in the audience to reach out to me if there's a topic they want me to talk about? Just reach out. I'm on Facebook. That's the best place to find me right now. Some of you know my phone number. Give me a call, okay?
Perfect. You got it. And if you can't reach over there, send a message into the SCN Canal Zone page, and I'll be happy to forward it so we can, you know, get everybody involved and keep the information flowing. So cool.
Perfect.
Awesome. Laura, again, thank you so much. Yep. Happy Easter. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and switch gears now. All right, welcome. We have a very special guest here joining us, Captain Andrew Eftimitis, all the way from PTY, Papa. Andrew, welcome. Glad to have you on the show, man.
Andrew.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be a part of it all, as they say, live from Las Cascadas, where your Zonian dreams come true. You can join us here, and we have a spa. We have 6 rooms, and we have 3 boats. You know, what's there not to love? We can take care of all your big family needs. We've had several groups here, and everybody's been very happy. All right, that was my little.
No worries. What do you call your hotel? Hotel Canal Zone. What do you call your bed and breakfast?
It's Cascadas, and it's at eastmogroup.com. You can go to eastmogroup.com.
I'll get on the stage here in just a moment here for you, Andrew.
I've been there.
That's the web page. Come on down. We got a spa. We got a sauna. I mean, we got all kinds of cool things here. We got Argentinian Grill, a chef that makes these empanadas that were at the Canal Zone reunion that we had with back in January. And they were just phenomenal, those empanadas. Phenomenal empanadas. We got a little pool. You can do laps, little waterfall. And we just put together this gazebo here that I know that Ricky would appreciate the architectural design here, because I asked him for help about it. You know, all these, I made these baskets, these lights, by the way. I just saw them. They were $9.99. Put a hole in them and a light bulb. You're good to go.
All right, Andy, man. Sounds good.
You,
So let's
Very
settle
cool.
down and let's get into some chit-chatting about, you know, what we all are here to hear you talk about.
For sure.
Our very own canal pilot, and we really want to hear from you.
You know, we got a lot to talk about. Of course, the canal is what brought us all together as youngins, and I'll never forget. It was you remember Shadow Day? Does anybody remember Shadow Day?
Shadow Day? No. What's Shadow Day? Talk to me.
Ricky, did you shadow when you shadow your parents, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Football
Oh,
days,
okay.
days,
Right on.
days.
Well, for me, you know, I've been to Gorgas many times. As you all may or may not know, my dad was a pediatrician over there at Gorgas. So I went a few times with him, and I found that fascinating. But I can recall distinctly one time when there was a premature baby, and he had to get a needle, you know, a vein, put a rubber band on its head, you know, to pop a vein in the head. I just, you know, and the warmth from the incubator, I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. I almost, you know, lost it right there. So on that particular shadow day in 7th grade, I went with Kevin Laxo and his old man, Jerry, and we did a transit of the canal. And that's when my eyes opened up like and said, yeah, you know what? This sounds like a good gig.
This is what I want to do. I want to.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, almost all Canal Zone kids started with I want to be a canal pilot before they thought of any other.
Well, that was known as a prestigious job in the zone. You know, I mean, the fact you get chauffeured around. I mean, who else in the zone gets chauffeured around, right? So it was a good gig, and you know, let's not kid ourselves. It paid well, but the whole Canal Zone was based on the Panama Canal. So if there's a primary job for a person in the Canal Zone, it's driving the damn ships through the canal. So right on. All right, so you fell in love with the transiting of the canal. You said, hey man, this might be a gig for me. So at what point do you start doing the work, the mechanism to get yourself into that? You know, you're at BHS, you're class of 84 with my brother and all these folks here.
No, he's 83.
83. Yeah.
83, I'm sorry. So how did that go about, and where, you know, was it something that maybe another canal pilot said, hey, this is the education?
Well,
you know,
I went after Balboa High School. I went to after 12th grade. I continued on 13th and 14th grade at PCC. You know, and those were the probably the best years. You know, because you didn't really. Yeah, I had a job, kind of. You know, working student assistant or whatever. I worked in school, but you know, going to the yacht club, going out to the causeway, and we were boating all the time.
Life was good.
Yeah, those
or going out on the boat, you know, skiing and diving. You know, that's hard to pull from those years, you know. But everybody else was migrating, and I was like, well, I better pull the trigger on this and head north. And so I went to Texas Maritime, and that's where I started everything. And I'll never forget, that was August of 85 that I drove up there. Hotter than hell up there in Galveston. I'll never forget that. I said, wow, I thought Panama was hot. But it was blazing hot in the middle of August.
Yeah, that's what they said. That whole
you can't get humid there.
Yeah.
But so I got onto the campus, you know, and walking around, and they're showing me. My sisters took me and dropped me off, and you know, that very day, walked by the pool, and they said, and I told them, yeah, I just, you know, took Coach Stromberg's WSI course, and they said, you're hired.
Yeah, right on.
Hey, lifeguard of the pool.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
right on. Cool. So now you went to that school, and what does that consist of? Is it a lot of classroom? Are you out on a boat? So how does that work?
Texas Maritime is quite a unique place. There's 5 maritime academies throughout the United States, 5 or 6. Right. Yeah, there's a federal one over there in Kings Point. In the canal, there's a lot of Kings Pointers, a lot of guys from Massachusetts Maritime. There's Maine Maritime. SUNY Maritime was a state University of New York Maritime. There's one out in California too. And in Texas, that 4-year program, we have 3 Texas A&M pilots here, by the way.
Okay, right on. Go Aggies.
Yeah, go Aggies. But at that university, it was very unique. It's very small. We had our own training ship. It was a World War II leftover passenger cargo vessel. but it was very tight. You know, you could get on there in the summertime. We got on every summer. We went down to Rio de Janeiro. We went over to Russia. We went up to Iceland. We went to Montreal. We navigated that thing everywhere. And
see, I would have thought it was just locally right around the Gulf and stuff.
oh no, man. We were gone for the summer, doing celestial projects, terrestrial projects, seamanship, everything that you can imagine.
So can you still navigate by the stars?
Yeah, back then we didn't have GPS back then.
I'm not asking, can you still do it?
Oh, no, I doubt it. You know, with the hardest part is the site reduction. Site reduction is, you know, I still have the mnemonic for, you know, HC, dip, HA, and then you get down to HO. So what is all that? Is you get your calculated height, your index correction, your height above those are just the first 5 things that you have to subtract to get to your observed height. And that is just the beginning of putting down one LOP, line of position. That's for 1 star.
Right.
You got to do that about 3 or 4 more.
Wow,
you know,
okay.
it takes a good hour. And then you get a triangle, and then you're somewhere in there. But anyways, I don't.
It takes an hour or so, you said.
Oh, well, you know, because you're looking up tape.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like you see in the movies where all of a sudden somebody busts something out real quick and okay, this is where we're at.
Yeah, but nowadays I'm sure there's an app. You just put in your
Okay.
your text and thing, and it pops out a bearing and a distance from your.
All right. So now,
no, Willie, man, go with the technology. Forget that BS. You can figure it out old school, right, Andy?
Well, with the old school designs and stuff, and that's why we connect. You know, me and Ricky, we go back a long way. San Francisco, went to Go Your Own Way. The
Fleetwood Mac.
We got
us some great tickets. We sat up on those booths. What were those expensive booths that you got us? They brought us liquor and everything.
Oh yeah, I remember we got in the booth. Yeah,
very nice.
Skybox. Yeah,
Skybox. Right. But we were right above, so we were right there.
So old school is cool, you know, and that school was cool. And
so Ralph has a question. He's asking that while sailing, did you guys have to do maintenance for training?
Well, that's a good question, Ralph, Mr. Maintenance himself. Yeah, you know, we'd had 3 rounds of rotation: maintenance day, classroom, and on the bridge. You know, navigating. So it would repeat like that. Okay. I can remember going through Mona Passage up on the king post, you know, with smoke in my face, chipping away the king post. You know, watching the waves and down below. I had a harness on and everything.
Right.
Chipping and a lot of phosphoric acid, you know, because the ship was made of steel. And so a lot of chipping and painting and maintenance, and I've probably forgotten a lot.
So in the summers, then you'd take that ship and you'd go all different places around the world and stuff. Which would you say was your most memorable and why?
Well, I'll tell you that, and that's a very good question. And that was the St. Lawrence Seaway, because the pilot was cool, you know, and he gave us the con, you know. Okay. And let's talk about the con. What is the con? The con is the control of the vessel. When you have control or the con of a vessel, you're not on a helm. Oh, you could be on a smaller boat, you know, on the helm, and you have your throttle. But on this old tub, it was called the Texas Clipper. She's now at the bottom of the bay of the Gulf of Mexico as a dive site near Brownsville. You can dive her, so texasclipper.com. But anyways, that was cool of the pilot and the St. Lawrence Seaway. I was on watch, and I got to con the ship, you know, through the channel.
And that's a busy seaway, isn't it? What's
that?
That's a busy seaway.
Well, yeah, you're meeting other ships, and they have some fjords in there. We dove into one of the fjords to check that out. So that was pretty memorable. And
That's what I'm
and
saying.
and the other memorable two parts was Iceland and in Leningrad, because it was before the wall came down. I was out past curfew and we were tracked by the KGB, so that was a lot of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah, but because we were supposed to be back to the ship by midnight, but no, we managed to stay out a little bit longer than required, so we had to pay a fine, and of course I got in trouble back at the ship.
So you had to pay a fine to the Soviet Union?
That's what they say, to pay for the guys to go look for us or something. It's not like they didn't know where I was, because we went back then in those days to get a taxi. You stand at a sign with the letter T, and we're standing there for about an hour, and then a black car pulls up, and we get in the car, and we drove like 45 minutes out of Leningrad, and with $20 that I exchanged on the black market was 80 rubles. I was a wealthy guy, man. The government was changing it for 0.6 to the dollar. And we were just walking down, me and my buddy, Kevin Duty, rest in peace there. But we were just walking, minding our own business. And they go, "Oh, you American, you have dollar?" And I said, "Yeah." And I gave him 20. He gave me 80 rubles, 4-1.
Very nice. Very nice.
Now, Leningrad. What's Leningrad today?
St. Petersburg.
Petersburg.
Yeah. That's where the Hermitage is.
That's a beautiful city.
Yeah, we went to the Hermitage.
Yeah. Wow.
But we went to we had a local guide take us out there. And after we got out of the car, she goes, that was a KGB. I said, "Really? Oh, all right. Do I tip?"
That's amazing, man. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Kathy Kessel came aboard, with John Catanzaro down in we had a few Zonians there. Jim Dunworth was there.
Where is Jim nowadays?
Irvin, he's out in California.
Okay.
He's out in Orange County.
Orange County. Correct.
Yeah, and Irvin was there, and John Catanzaro, and then a couple younger Zonians came up afterwards, and there were a couple there before.
Right on. Very cool.
And we had our Panama contingent there, and
yeah.
along. It's a nice little group. Good environment. Good to learn. Good to become good seamen.
Sure.
Seamanship. So driving ships is what it came down to. Going from A to B across the open ocean. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. That was interesting for a while. I went around to Bangladesh, Taiwan, through the Suez Canal. A lot of different experiences: hurricanes, storms, low pressures, dicey situations. But driving the ship in the end, was the best part. Coming into port and being able to take that vessel.
Yeah. I'm an avid flight simmer. I do a lot of flight simming. I got a lot of gear, a lot of different peripherals for it. And to your point, once I'm in cruising altitude, it's boring. There's nothing to do. You're just moving. It's the whole maneuvering to land and setting everything up. So I guess to your point, that's what's fun about driving a ship, is getting it into port and all the different things that you have to do there, and all the different maneuvering stuff. So, which we're going to talk about here. But going back to your school then, so you're in Galveston. School is for how long? Is it a 4-year program?
Yeah, but thanks to PCC, I was able to transfer a few credits, and then I got out in 3 years. 3 years I got out in 88, from 85 to 88, the end of 88, the end of the summer. I did that last cruise. I took my license. You get your license, third mate unlimited, and then you go out. And I jumped on a ship. The first ship I was on was a post-Panamax tanker. We would go down to Chiriquí, and that's up there in Bocas. To come and load up some Ansco. That's that Alaskan North Slope crude oil. You know, my dad and my mom drove all that way to Chiriquí Grande to see
Who
me.
gave the
That
dog
was so
treat?
fun.
We need to give the dog treat to the puppy.
It was a Panamanian dog.
Is that your
They're
dog,
barking in
Andrew?
Spanish. They got to be Panamanian dogs. That's what I'm thinking. But,
Yeah.
so now, yeah.
Give us some queso. They love cheese.
So you say you graduated, you get your license, you're third mate. How does that work? That whole thing. What are the rankings or whatever when you're first mate, second mate, third mate? How does that work?
Yeah, that is a system of sea time. You know, as you progress on board, your time spent on board at that certain position, then you get the sea time, and then you get that's our neighbor's dog. There, he's constantly singing lullabies to me at night. I love him. Love him.
Fantastic. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. So, anyways, you get sea time. You get to sit and take the exam to be promoted to second mate, chief mate, and then master.
All right. So as a third mate, what are you limited to as far as what you can and cannot do?
Well, the third mate on a ship, you know, you're junior officer. You're there. You stand watch. You
Okay.
Probably one of the big things that they like the third mates to do is safety equipment. So you go getting a lot of overtime inspecting life rafts and fire extinguishers and
running drills and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what they do as a third mate.
Okay.
But
and then you get the second mate, and then what happens?
Then you sail some more. The second mate does more of the navigational stuff.
Okay.
Setting up the charts. The chief mate does more of the cargo handling, cargo loading, stuff with the stability of the vessel.
Sure.
And then, you know, the master does the whole thing. So I did deep sea stuff, but my last 3 years was pretty interesting. I was I had a limited 1,600 ton limited captain's license that I used on this small casino vessel out of Port Everglades, and I did that for it started up in Savannah, Georgia, and then we shifted down to Port Everglades. But that's where I really got my introduction to ship handling, because that thing would go down the Dania Cutoff Canal, and that was like the miniature Panama Canal.
Okay.
You know, and, if any of you have been down to Fort Lauderdale, you go into the port of Port Everglades, and then you head all the way south, and you hang a right, and the Dania Cutoff Canal. And you know, coming in there, we were the big boat, you know, with their yachts, because it's a 205-foot passenger vessel. We carried 500 passengers coming down this little channel, coming into a small turning basin, you know, with people on the weekends, you know, with their boats and everything. Sure. And we'd have to come in and turn around and then come and dock. So that got hairy, but it was exciting. And it was my first real introduction, you know, to close quarters, you know, in scale, wasn't a big, heavy draft vessel, but it was definitely, you know, a learning experience there. And sometimes we had, I mean, it's probably been pretty tight in there, because there were times when the bow was going around, the bow would swing over because it was so crowded with guys at the fuel dock, you know, in the little center consoles. The bow would swing over them because there was no room. They were like stacked. And so,
and although most people you would assume know this now, but you know, unlike a car, a boat drifts. It doesn't just right turn; it turns right.
All kinds of things happening on the boat that I think we had the conversation just a little bit earlier was about you know, the pilot doesn't get on the helm and and steer. In this particular case, on a small boat like this or super yachts, yeah, you're on the throttle and on that, but on the bigger ships, you're not on a helm and you're not on the engine order telegraph or the
You're giving orders.
you're given those orders, right?
Right on.
In conjunction with the tugboats that are made fast to your vessel, or they may not be made fast to your vessel. And some ships that have bow thrusters. So we'll all get into those things because in the news, talking about the disaster in Baltimore, I'm not surprised. The even big news story and write-ups that I've been reading, they have poor nomenclature, and that's what can you do? They're not seeming. They call the vessel. One article said, "Oh, this large tanker." It wasn't a tanker. So hit the bridge, and there's a lot of information in there, and conspiracy theories. That just really maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you wouldn't imagine would get so much attention. So,
Right.
And when I'm in the maritime field, as I am, hearing these things, it's just you just makes you wonder what other news are they not getting right?
Yeah, right.
Because I'm not in the medical field and I'm not in the this field. So, but I mean, they really got some things really wrong on the latest news.
Well, it's a rush to get news out. It's a 24-hour news cycle, so everybody competes to get the story out first. So vetting is a thing of the past, and you don't have time to actually get an expert out there. So, anybody here know about boats? Yeah, I got a boat. Okay, get on here and start talking.
And
Half the time they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Sorry, Wooly. How does this relate to our Balboa bridge getting hit? Was it something similar?
Well, let's do this. Let's actually.
Who was the port captain on duty that responded to that one?
Yeah, I know you were talking about that, but listen, let's do this. Let's get our transit going, because we're going to touch on that and touch on a couple other things as we get to those points, because I do know that you were involved in that after the fact. He didn't drive the boat into the bridge, but nonetheless, let's take a look at something here, and again, just so you guys understand what the way the canal is set up now, and with the new locks and all that stuff. Coming in on a northbound transit, coming in off of the Pacific Ocean. Let's start there, and then we'll go into all these different talking points. So,
all right. They give you the day before. They give you a duty time. They give you a time to report to Diablo, and for the Neo Panamax, usually starts very early in the morning. Probably you have a duty time like midnight, and you're probably on board by 1:30, a quarter to 2. Midnight, you're in Diablo. You jump in the jitney. They drive you out to the mine dock. So in Diablo, there's a pilot reporting station and the mine dock. Does everybody know where the mine dock is out in Amador?
That's that first big pier on the right side as you go down the length of the causeway, right?
Yeah, the mine dock got its name from what I understand. There used to be like 7, I don't know how many, mine fields during World War II, and that's where they would bring the mines out, from what I understand. I don't have all the history on that. Somebody may or may not know about it, but it wasn't contact. It wasn't contact mines. It was a proximity mines or something where somebody in Flamenco signal station would push a button if an alarm went off. And I heard the story that a tugboat was going by, a PCC tugboat, and they didn't report that they were out there, and they sunk a tugboat.
Wow,
that's true.
Well, the system worked then, if nothing else. But okay, so you get your to pilot the boat. But the other day, something else that I wanted to ask you. The other day we were chatting, and you mentioned that you'll be in the office. You'll be over at Marine Traffic Control, working the desk there. So, do you guys not always just exclusively pilot boats? Is that something else you do?
Oh, okay. Well, backing it up. So I spent the last 4.5 years in the port captain's office. So I was one of the port captains, and that's a different role. That's management. But I'm not in there anymore. I'm going back to the canal next week. So because I think it's a very good experience, and I think every pilot should go in and see the other end of the
Sure.
of the workforce there.
Yeah.
And we're on the regulatory side, and respond to emergencies. A lot of training goes into the port captain's job, and you have to know the regulatory requirements for every vessel, and
Sure.
and the procedure. And I think it's a great way to round out your career. But I spent enough time there, so now to go back out there. Now, the interesting thing about the port cabins is we still transit, but exclusively we only transit in the new canal. So that's the only place that a port captain will do his transit. Now, we'll do observation transits in the old canal just to watch what's going on, and we'll get aboard ships if there's an emergency or an accident in the old canal. Then we'll go on. Like, for example, one time I had to get aboard a ship because in Gatun locks, the locomotives lost power, so I was to move the ship from the middle chamber to the upper chamber, or maybe the lower chamber to the middle chamber, I don't know, without locomotives on a big ship. So, just had to do it slowly.
And that because you're the port captain and maybe more experienced, they wanted you to do that?
Not necessarily more experienced, but because we're not part of the union, we're management. There's certain things that we can do that it isn't guided under like contractual
under collective bargaining agreements and whatnot.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So then we're back to your pilot role. So you're a pilot. You've got
so the launch takes you out there. You climb aboard, and greetings and how
far out of the boats before when you go to get on them?
What's that?
Where are they at? How far out are they from, let's say, in relation to
there's two anchorages, the explosive anchorage on the west and the merchant anchorage on the east. And the bigger ships, which I've been doing only big ships for the last 5 years,
okay,
anchor way out by Tabugia, because that's where it's deep enough.
Sure.
Remember, the maximum draft without the water restriction, normal operation, is about 15.2 meters. So the old canal,
how low it goes in the water.
Yeah, how deep. Yeah, okay. Which is about 50 feet.
Yeah.
So they're way out there. Sometimes half an hour, 40 minutes to get out there. You get on.
That's almost half the elevation of getting in the canal before you get in the lake is 50 feet. And then 85 feet total when you to get from sea level to the Gatun Lake.
Yeah, but don't forget you're in a parcel of water. That parcel of water is what they're moving, the entire parcel. So if you're 50 feet or you're 5 inches, you're moving the same water. You're moving that parcel of water. Of course, you're displacing more water.
Certainly.
But that parcel that you're in is what they move.
Okay. And now you mentioned that you are doing just the big ships now. Is that something that they assign you, or you select and you stay with those for a while? Is it because of recurrent training or something?
As I mentioned, just the port captains in the Panama Canal. There's 11 steps. It takes about 14 years to become to cover all the steps.
Wow.
Okay. Be nuclear qualified to take the nuclear submarines through. It takes about 14 years, to do that. So all the port captains are nuclear qualified. So, because we have to get on anything. So there's a special rating for nuclear submarines. There's a special rating for each step. And in the new locks is step 10 and step 11. That's split up into.
Okay.
Those two steps are voluntary. You don't have to go there if you don't want to.
But if you don't do those, you can't transit a ship through the new locks, correct?
That's a good question. Actually, there are some step 9 ships, or some. I mean, maybe somebody doesn't want to go through the new locks. In a exceptional case, you might find a Panamax Plus, Panamax size, but the draft exceeds the old locks, so they put them in the new locks. So he's got 45 feet of water, and this guy was like, "Man, I don't want to deal with those new locks, because those new locks are not for the faint-hearted." I mean, by the time you get through one set of locks, you're mentally sapped.
Okay. And we're going to cover that here in a second, because I'm curious about what that means now, and now you've certainly stirred my curiosity more. So, but bottom line is, you are, for lack of a better term, certified to either do the old locks or the new ones. Then, based on the.
But in the port captain's office, they just made it mandatory that when you go and do your transits, because we have to keep, regardless of
the thing with the stuff.
No, I lost my train of thought. The port captains, they wanted you to do the new locks because they that's the new thing, and they want management in there. It's kind of like a esprit de corps, lead the way. You're
prestige locks.
Yeah. So
okay, makes sense.
The old ones do the. I was just reading here a question from Rick Rivera, and because this is one of the things that came up, and it said, "Don't all large container ships, regardless of power hours, have steering as a backup?" So, steering is that's a very good question, and it's one of the things that's online. And the ships are going to steer. Your rudder may or may not answer, meaning hard to port, and the rudder will answer hard to port. And this is something we'll get into. We're probably getting off case, but very important on those big ships. And like I said, I go on them all the time. You stop the engine, you can go hard over, hard to starboard, hard to port. Sometimes they follow, sure. Sometimes you can dead stick them with no engine, sometimes. But it depends on where you are. I come down the channel the other day, 43 feet of draft, which is nothing these days. 43 is nothing, but that's the deep draft, 43 feet. Let me see how many meters that is.
Mickey Mouse.
How many meters is 43 feet?
About 15, 18.
13. About 13 meters. 43 for us is nothing. It's a light ship. That's 12.8 meters is the maximum for Baltimore. You can't go in deeper than 12.8. So that's nothing for us. So, but it's still loaded. The ship was loaded. It had a good amount of cargo. You stop that engine on those big ships, and I did it the other day, coming down the channel, and they had the harbor pilot in front of me. And I'm like, what is going on here? He's got to slow down and dock the ship. Now I'm coming down the channel. No one told me about it. I kind of figured it out and looked at it. So I was already, those things have got massive engines, those container ships, massive engines. So by the time I left the anchorage, I was making 12 knots, coming in at the channel entrance,
wheelies.
Yeah. But I had to get down to 4 knots by the time I got to the yacht club.
Okay.
So.
And is that a chore to get it down with that size?
Yeah, it's a short span, but you don't stop the engine. You put that thing in dead slow, and it's like a gear,
It's its own drag to help slow it down.
It creates drag. Okay. But as soon as you stop the engine, and I stay in the middle of the channel. If you're to one side of that channel or another, and disclaimer, I was not on board the ship in Baltimore. I wasn't there. I didn't see what happened. But I'm just talking about my experience on ships that size and bigger that I've been deeper,
Right.
and so they love to go straight. Sure, they'll go straight. But the second they find an excuse to turn, it's going to be a bitch to stop it, you know? And what is the excuse to turn? Well, if you're not in the center of that channel and you pick up suction, you know, we're talking about Bernoulli's effects. And, well, Willie, you may know about the aerodynamics, the lift on a wing, on a big ship. You're moving ahead 7, 8 knots. That pivot point is forward. You're like a pendulum. So anything on your ass end, you start smelling the bank. You know, Bernoulli's effect, that stern's going to crank to where? To port.
Sure. It's creating a suction.
You create a lift, right? I wasn't there. I don't know. But, you know, I'm just giving you things that have happened to me.
Sure.
Well, I'm not coming down the middle of the channel. He was off to the left side of the channel, as was pointed out, and you can see on the track, left side of the channel's dredged to 50 feet. He was probably drawing 12.8 meters, which is what, like 42 and a half feet. And it's dredged to 50. So, which is, let's say 13 meters. So you had 2 meters under the keel, and off to the side was shallower water of the channel. So eventually he'll keep going straight, but somewhere, you know, Bernoulli's effect is going to come in there.
Yeah.
And lift that stern. This is just me talking from what I've experienced.
Speculation.
Stern is going to smell the bank, you know, or maybe the bow, there's something over there, and you get a cushion on the bow. Because now you're favoring that north side of the channel.
And let me ask you this, is it safe to assume that in that channel there's also currents that would be doing something?
I know that low tide was like at 2:30, so maybe the tide was going out.
Some currents that might influence.
There could have been current. I don't know what the wind was like, but the thing is, he'll go straight until somebody tells him not to go straight, and that's why I myself like to stay right in the middle of the channel.
Okay.
And we have restrictions in the canal for the bridge, you know, bridge to basin restriction. Don't meet anybody there for that reason. That way you can stay in the middle. Because if you're meeting somebody, where do you got to be?
You got to
on your side of the road. When you're on your side of the road, on those big bad boys, anything can
do their own thing.
It's a whole new, you know, you can have that rudder hard over, the engine stop, you know, she's going to go the opposite direction very easily.
Okay. So let's talk about that then. So we're here on the ship now. We've entered the canal. We've just gone under the bridge, and now we've talked about that, and of course the bridge in Baltimore and all that good stuff. Now we're getting to the new locks here, okay? And this is where we're going to go into the new set of locks. And you just mentioned that transiting those locks is very tedious, right? You said it's mentally draining and everything.
Oh, it is.
Kind of walk us through that process here, and in the meantime, I'll pull up this video that'll show us that, kind of as you talk about it as we're approaching this first set of locks.
This is on the approach to Coakley Locks northbound.
Correct.
So as you can see, there's a tug on the bow. Where'd you get this video from?
YouTube. I just pulled something down to show.
Okay, there's a tug on the bow. So right there's an approach wall. You get to the approach wall, usually make the tug on the bow fast, and then there's a tug already made fast on the stern. That's the Delta tug. He'll be back there. He's your buddy, and there's different types of.
And he's on the back left side, is what you're referring to, correct?
No, he's got a bridle up too, like this, so he can pull you this way or that way.
Oh, okay. So he's in the front of the ship.
There's also one on the bow.
Okay.
So we have 2 tugs for the evolution through the locks. One on the bow, the Alpha tug, and one on the stern in the Delta tug. And both of them have bridles. You know, in other ports they use a singular line and they use a technique called indirect towing. we don't have that space. We don't have that space to maybe in the basin, but we don't have the space to do indirect towing. Indirect towing is very powerful, and it's a powered maneuver by the tug. He's powering and using the body of the tug to crank that stern to one direction or to slow you down. Very effective. Very effective.
Okay. But here, because of the narrow channels, you don't have the luxury of doing that.
Yeah, in the chamber, we don't have that luxury, and we don't have that time because we have the tug. He's also on a bridle, so he's the head. The guy on the stern's delta, then two other assisting tugs to the wall. We start.
Now, these tugs here, when you're at this point, you're obviously entering the channel here. Are they peeling off or hanging? Or are they still going through with it? Is it big enough for them?
There's room for them. There's no room.
Okay. Okay.
There's no room. So we dismiss them. They're off. Now you're in the first chamber.
And I did notice there's still a little bit of side-to-side movement in there because it's
right.
It's a pretty wide block.
And those details are very, very is what you need to. A lot of people say, we got bigger locks in Amsterdam, bigger locks here, bigger. Yeah, but they only have one lock. We got to transverse, 1,500, 3,000 feet in a tube, basically.
Right.
You can go into one chamber and then out you come, and so your amount of energy, mental energy, not dismissing, there it's very challenging as well. But what I'm saying is that to go from chamber to chamber is where you need to have, there's no locomotives to save your butt, 2-center brake. Or
say that. I noticed that there's no locomotives in the new one.
There's no locomotives. You got to tug on the bow, and you got to tug on the stern, and the extra wide ships, up to 167 feet in beam. You don't have, and you cannot allow to let that thing start rocking or the rate of turn.
Okay, so Ralph put up an interesting question on there. He said, who's responsible if there's a bump on the new locks, captain of ship or tugboat captains? Well, obviously, you answered the question.
Go mix another rum and coke, man. Ridiculous question, So the thing is, you got to be anticipating the bow and stern move. You got to keep that thing flat. As soon as you get in the other one half a degree off, and you get an appreciable rate of change, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're going to be touching. You're going to be banging. And these ships are amazingly thin, so the locks win every time.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. Is it considered for wear and tear on the locks? But to your point, no, it's wear and tear on the ship. So
especially that quarter where the transom meets the side of the ship, that thing opens like a can opener at times, But the thing is, because why does that happen is because, the pivot point's forward. You may have a tug working fore and aft and everything, but your general momentum is forward. And so the quarter is always going to swing easiar than the back.
Sure. That makes sense. So, and again, very interesting. I noticed this, putting together some of this material for you, that there was no tugs. I was like, okay, that's kind of fascinating, but none of that. So now going through the transit, and this is kind of cool here. This is where you watch on the right side. You see that those tanks of water start to drain down as the water is pumped into the channel to lift it up. You see that now? You see the walls open up. That was pretty cool. I've never seen this operate until now here. So there's 3 sets of locks here that you're going through, correct? In totally?
3 chambers.
Okay, 3 chambers, right?
About 50. There we are in the new.
And so let me pause that for a second and back that up just a moment, because Ricky and I were talking about that earlier, looking on the map. As you get down to here and you get into this chamber here, to the right there, they're just passing right next to the Pedro Miguel locks, correct?
That is the this channel we're already at lake level, but to the right on the starboard side, you'll see Miraflores and Pedro Miguel. They're that's Miraflores Lake, and that's a good 25 feet, depending on the height of the lake, below where you're at already.
Wow, that's interesting. You're right.
Yeah,
roadway, and it bypasses Pedro Miguel logs.
exactly.
Wow.
Let me ask you, that strip of land there in between the two channels, then, is there ever concern of a breakdown there where all of a sudden you'd have a disparity in water levels? Or
I didn't understand. Is there any?
Right side there's a strip of land that divides this channel, which is which is lake level. The one on the right there, in between Miraflores and Pedro Miguel, is, like you said, 25 feet lower. Is there ever any concern that somewhere up there, that monsoon range or something would wash some of that out? Next thing you know, you'd have a problem with the water levels there?
Well, that is called the Borinque Dam. That is basically a dam they built there.
Sure it is. So they didn't just cut into the land there; they actually built it up.
Well, I remember when they started it. If continue down a little bit, right there. Yeah, back up a little bit. Oh, too far. Well, anyways, right when you're at Miraflores Lake is a beam of view. That was the majority of the dam was created, was with these huge round pilings. But they jam. I don't know how deep they went with steel, and then filled it up with rock, and that was the base of the dam. That's the foot.
Okay.
And that went down to, I would imagine, to bedrock.
Right.
And those in diameter, they must have been 100 feet in diameter.
Wow. Okay. So
And
they moved.
that was the footing. I wasn't there to build it. Maybe Ralph Furlong knows more information about the construction of that dam.
He's making a rum and coke. He'll be back.
But there's a guarantee: will not breach.
Yep. Okay. Right on.
Those footings, the round, he likes to call them cofferdam, but they're filled with rock.
Yeah.
And then on top of that is the dam.
Right. So that ain't going anywhere. Okay.
Well, I'm not an expert on any of that stuff.
Right. But according to them, that's what they're meant to stay. So okay. So now we're in the Culebra Cut, and I want to go back to a question that Pat Schulte asked earlier. Is this the most dangerous part of the transit, the Culebra Cut?
Yeah, no. As far as incidences, and if you look at the statistics, it's going from chamber to chamber is the worst part. That's for sure.
Okay.
Or entering Agua Clara is tricky. As we get up there, I'll explain to you that scenario. But Culebra Cut, as long as you stay in the middle, again,
right.
You have power and rudder, and we carry an escort tug for the cut, and
okay,
yeah, that's a requirement. A lot of escort tugs there. It's a valuable entity, the canal, and you can't leave it to the whim of unknown maintenance.
We're stuck there now. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so let's continue then. We're on the Culebra Cut, and we're going to get to a spot here where we're going to have an interesting conversation here. So we're getting to Gamboa now, okay? And as we see on the right side there's the bridge and all that stuff. And as we know, let me go ahead and switch over here now. Get through those chambers, and we get to Gamboa here, and there's that picture of of the bridge and everything. So tell us that story, because you were involved in that.
Yeah.
On the hindsight, right?
I was on duty that day, and I got a call. I was in the office, and I got a call. And so we activated the emergency contingency plans. One of the first things they did was call the railroad to tell them, "Hey, stop that train." Imagine, backing up a little bit. The Bluebill had a mechanical issue with the rudder, where the rudder got stuck, and it does happen. Yes, the rudder got stuck to starboard. He had engine, and here's another interesting thing. You back a right-hand turning propeller engine, as you know, on planes,
Yeah.
that torque.
Sure.
And back to the Baltimore incident, that's what, I was looking at that and I said, did he throw a backing bell in there? But people say, oh, the power went out. Then I saw a puff of smoke, and later reports indicate that was the emergency generator kicking on. It's got to kick on. That's a requirement. And the generator will give you, at least, you're on that bridge. It's dark anyways.
Sure.
And on that vessel, a lot of things going on. But as you approach prominent parts of your transit, you're already thinking about, if something goes wrong, you're already have your plan A, B, and C going on. But in a case like that, the power goes out, and I've been on numerous ships. The power has gone out, and we drop the anchors. One of the things, but he's doing 7-8 knots, and that anchor's over 50 tons. It hits the bottom, it grabs, and that chain will become flying out. I
was going to ask you about that, because on the picture here, we don't see the anchor down, which maybe that they may have already raised it or something, who knows. But I saw a video earlier the other night. Somebody on the Balboa side of the bridge there was filming, and there was a ship that came, and it was a very close call. And the
guy, he got 2 anchors down.
Yes, and I saw them, and you could see all the dust from where they're coming out and dropping down, and the guy's narrating it, obviously in Spanish, and he's like, no lo va a aguantar, no lo va a aguantar, and then all of a sudden, ya la vida, and sure enough, he stopped, but really close to the bridge.
I remember that a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, and that was excellent maneuver by the pilot, and emergency anchoring, is not easy, and you need a lot of timing as when you're going to let go of that anchor. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You're down to the nitty-gritty. But you want to do it to be effective when you're as slow as possible and at the latest moment effectively possible. Well, what does that mean? And when is that going to be, So I can only tell you from my experience on a ship I was on, with the engineer calls up, we got to stop the ship's engine now. I'm like, Cap, we're in the middle of a turn here. We cannot stop. And I got a northbound coming, we can, he says, it's going to be a catastrophic, anyway, long story short, they stopped the engine. And these smaller ships, finer lines, you can dead stick for a while. So I tried to dead stick. Dead stick meaning steering without the engine.
Right.
I steer along. Northbound was coming. I said, get by as fast as you can. Get by. Until the last minute, you can cycle the rudder to slow down. A lot of other things. Try and put that rudder back and forth.
Sure.
Try cycling. And at the last minute, when I saw that I was going to come across the channel and create an issue, I let go of the anchor, and we stopped right in the middle of the channel. Now, what happens if you panicked way back when you were making 10 knots? It wouldn't have been as effective, because maybe that whole chain would have just piled out. Right. Bing! And then you're back to where you were.
And let me ask you, would there ever be a concern that you drop those anchors, they grab, and then the back of the ship wants to keep going around because there's still a lot of momentum?
Absolutely not. That anchor, when you drop it on most big ships, you don't even know that it's down. It's just like, what was that? Bleep, and you keep going,
Interesting.
But the anchoring is a very tricky situation. Anchoring can be your greatest friend, too. You can maneuver with an anchor. I've been in situations where it was dark, loaded bulk carrier in the Atlantic anchorage, and I said, I'm just going to get underway here on this loaded bulk carrier and go around that ship that was anchored further south of me. And I get along and I look around and I see there's the India buoy. This is back before we had all this computerized shit where you could figure out where you were exactly. it was all done by side of eye, and it was at night.
Sure.
Look, and I go, that can't be the India buoy. I am not going to make it between that buoy and that ship, because beyond that buoy there was no water. So I let go of the anchor, came to a stop, but I used that anchor. I kept steaming to use that anchor to turn hard, to make that turn.
Okay, yeah.
See the buoy of the ship, pick up the anchor, and continue on like I planned it.
So you could drop, for example, the left side anchor, and that would create drag on that side and pull you there.
No. The best part of an anchor is being able to use your rudder and engine without picking up appreciable speed. That's the best part. So a lot of these ships, just kick it ahead. You're zipping down the line on a dry bulk carrier, very small, efficient engine. They just want that momentum to pick up when you're out at sea, and it just keeps that heavy beast moving along at a steady speed. But when you're in confined waters, that speed in a heavy ship like that, you don't want it to get out of control. So you put the anchor down, and you can just slow steam on that anchor, dragging it or catching it, as they call, or using it as a pivot. So you don't pick up speed where you're going to be dragging that anchor, right. and it doesn't stop you enough that you can't use your rudder. It's just a perfect balance where that rudder and engine work in unison, so you can make that hairpin turn that you would normally never make, unless you had a tug or a bow thruster.
Interesting. Dale, Ricky, you had a question for him.
Well, no, actually, it was about the bridge. So, I think you answered my questions regarding the bridge.
That call came out the railroad. I went out there zipping in our little port captain's pickup truck, first on the scene, and first on the scene as far as official
Canal representative.
The cops were there. So, I walked out on the bridge, and I analyzed the situation. That anchor actually was stuck on the bridge. So I was in communication with the pilot. I told him, hey, go ahead and pick up that port anchor, the starboard anchor. Pick that anchor up. All right, they picked it up. All right, go ahead and pick up the other anchor. We picked up the other anchor. I got on the launch. I got on board, and that thing was hard aground. So it wasn't a big ship, as you can see.
Yeah.
I got on there. I made 2 tugs fast, one on the port bow and one on the stern. And a southbound was coming. So I employed a pretty interesting thing. I said, this guy says, hey, you want me to slow down here? I said, nope. Pick up the speed. I want you to pick up the speed. Come on by as fast as you can. So this was another loaded vessel. He went by quickly. He created like a suction, and I backed the stern tug and the bow tug and the ship's engine, and that thing just came right off.
Well played. Very nice.
Moorings. He punctured a hole in the forepeak. Underneath he had a couple good-sized holes. But that thing was filled with water. It's only going to fill with water. It didn't do anything.
Okay.
And that was it. So we got it off, and I made it fast at the moorings. And
so now, when they got it off, did they continue their northbound transit, or what did they do with that ship?
Oh, well, we had an investigation. All kinds of things went down.
They held that ship for quite a while.
Can't even remember. Anyways.
Right on. Cool.
How about the pilot?
So that was the transit there, and of course that Balboa Bridge incident. From there now, we're going to get into the lake, okay? And this is an area where a lot of interesting things in the news that we've seen lately when we're talking about, and real quick, before that, Pedro Vanga has a question on there, but ever any issues or disputes with the ship's captain once the pilot has control? Is that ever anything that happens?
What do you mean? What kind of dispute?
Well, I mean, who has final say in what goes on with that ship when you get on there, for example?
Yeah, well, as we all, I don't know if you all recall, but like the Panama Canal is one of the few places in the world where the pilot has control of the movement of the vessel, navigational. He's got control of the crew, and the everyday goings on. But as far as left, right, stop, make that tug fast, go here, go there. The pilot has the final word on it.
Okay.
And that's been around for many years.
And understood. So there's not a time when somebody would dispute that. The captain would be like, "Hey, no, man."
They maybe in COVID we had one guy. He just didn't want to move the ship, and was in a conflict with the pilot. He was in some kind of conflict, So I can't remember the situation, but the port captain went out there with the cops and said, "You don't want to move the ship? Yeah, you're going to jail." That's the kind of stuff that Yeah.
So the authority is very firm.
You get and start blocking this waterway.
Yeah.
We have legal things. You can interfere with the operation of the canal. You cannot come down there, interfere with the pilot. You can't. And we have a lot of safety checks to keep that vital waterway open. And that's why we don't let anybody come through, oh, we're missing a tire. Well, my friend, go fix the tire before you go through. We want things to limit any kind of issues and potential showstoppers.
Yeah, of course.
Taken care of before you go through
the waterway. I mean, the whole world depends on it. So it's
exactly. And so that's where the port captain's split section decision making, like, no, you're not going through. Send a port engineer out there. Let's see what is really going on here. Let's get down. Let's make this thing safe. Let's make this thing operational for everybody.
Certainly.
And we might, have a few things, where we assign extra tugboat resources, extra pilots to ensure that the integrity of the transit. Sure.
Right on. All right, so let's switch gears then. So we've made it past Balboa now, and we didn't hit the bridge this time, thank God. So now we're getting ready to enter the Gatun Lake. And the famous Gatun Lake, I always remember as a kid, the Gatun Lake at one time was like the largest man-made lake in the world, all that stuff. That was kind of cool. But lately, we've seen in the news a lot of articles about low water levels and heck, even headlines on some articles. Is the Panama Canal obsolete? Is this the end of the Panama Canal? So
no,
straight, man.
Yeah, absolutely not. This is, the thing here is very interesting, and it's I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not anything, but this is just my own take on the whole situation. Number one, no one is going to be able to beat what you can do in the Panama Canal as far as moving commerce, moving containers, moving passengers, moving oil, nobody's going to beat what we got.
Right.
It's
vital of a waterway.
As an efficient waterway, right. Now, management of the lake level and its resources, they're working on that, and there's several solutions for that. But what happened here, if you look at a post I had in 2016, the lake level was at 79.9 the same day. That was probably February of 2016.
Okay.
Right now it's at 80. I'll tell you right now exactly where it's at. So I get the updates. So right now we are at 80.5. And now what are these numbers I'm telling you? 80.5, that's above mean sea level. That's how it's measured. That datum is measured. The surface of the lake is 80.5 feet above sea level. Yeah. So those are the reference numbers. The lake level right now is 80. And what do we have up there in Lake Hallelujah, or some people know it as Madam Lake? That at the peak of her filling is at about 250 feet. So it's very important to know that that lake was topped off this season, just so you know. Huh? It was topped off, was a little over 250 feet above datum, 250 feet. So for every 10 feet of water they let go in that lake adds 1 foot to the Gatun Lake. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. And so from 250 down to about 200, and the bottom of that lake drops off at where? 204. No, is it 204? Yeah, 205. Let's say 205, somewhere in there. So you have all that. You have what, 55 feet or 45 feet or 4.5 feet, 5 feet of water to keep. So they're just, the management of that water is managed, and it's just dump, 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 continuous dumping, and it keeps the level healthy. We're at 43 feet, but bear in mind, the old locks has not been changed as far as there's no draft restriction for the old locks. It's still at 3906. So you're on a Panamax container ship. Your business as usual. No draft restrictions there.
So what was the cause then of the backlog that we were hearing on the news that there was?
Well, what happened was in water management, they had to reduce the number of lockages. That's it.
Because each one of those uses up a certain amount of water.
Yeah, that's it.
Right on. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But to your point, back in 2016, we were also at a lower point.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the news. It wasn't. It just. It just baffles me. But it's been raining. It's been a wet, rainy season, so the lake has had some showers.
Okay.
And nature, and you heard it here. Nature will take care of itself. It'll start raining again.
It is the rainforest for a reason.
It'll start raining by the end of May. We're going to be having rain, and we'll be back on track.
Perfect.
But this is maybe woken up, some instances locally to provide a land bridge, to provide better maritime resources here in Panama. Panama is a gold mine for transmodalism, for taking goods and service, oil, containers, bring tourism. We need to promote all that stuff here. This is the crossroads of the world.
Yeah, for sure.
And we need to keep that going.
So bottom line then is, it sounds like there may be a lot of media hype about the water levels and all that stuff. And the truth is, the canal is healthy. The canal is going to continue to function. Things are working great.
That is exactly right. And you can mark my words by that. And it's going to get bigger and better. And we're going to have a better water management system here in the future, guaranteed. There's going to be other. Whap in, David. Yeah, 80.5. That's what I just said. 80.5, 80.45 to be exact. The lake level. But anyways, I think this is going to result in a bigger and better Panama Canal, and it's collateral. Truck and trains, pipes, whatever you want, airports, all that good stuff. I think we're going to step up the work on those things.
Yeah. Okay, that's another one. Salting in the lake. I've heard something about salt and
that's another concern. Sure, and here's an interesting fact. Did you know that the highest, the last chamber in the new locks is 2 meters below sea level?
Wow.
Yeah.
Below sea level. Interesting.
Yeah. So in Gatun, when you have overhaul, you open the plug, that thing is bone dry. You don't need pumps, you know.
Right.
So, so there is going to be better. You know, there could be an air curtain. There's all kinds that we have right now to limit the salt. So what I want to tell you with that is, water isn't flowing uphill. It's flowing downhill, basically. Right. Salt water. There's a lot of things that happen to bring that salt water in. Ship's movement from chamber to chamber drags that salt water with it.
Sure.
Those massive ships. There's a lot of things, and they do flushes. You know, they open the valves upstream to keep that salt water in check.
To keep the water out.
That wastewater, we stopped those flushes, so that's why water has gotten saltier.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Things that, you know, air curtains, you know, like an air dam, and keep that pocket of salt somewhere, or the fresh water.
So there's a difference in the density of the waters with salt and fresh water, so you should be able to separate them, hopefully.
Yeah, there might be a way of decanting it. I don't know, or taken from the top or from the bottom. You know, the salt water sinks and air curtains. You know, especially on the Pacific District, you can do some air curtains. You know, because you have that channel,
right?
And so they're talking about things like that, but that will be improved. And you know, and again, once we get more fresh water flushing through the system, that is going to be resolved. But what are we talking about? Parts per million? I'll tell you what it is. Right now, it's 0.5102 UPS. David Cohen says that the water's salty tasting, but that's all filtered out. He says in Albrook, but I don't know how that's possible, because all that stuff goes through treatment plant, you know, and I haven't had any problems here in Balboa, but and the 0.50 UPS. I'm not a chemist or anything, but you know, when you go through that treatment plant, it should take out some of those impurities. But in Albrook, maybe you got them old pipes over there, David. Pipes, those pipes. You're drinking
old pipes, right.
Albrook is shot for plumbing, man. I got a leak.
A lot of the zone is coming up on that now as well.
You know, built in the 30s, and the Air Force used substandard piping. What do you think of that, Ricky?
The piping?
Yeah.
If it's copper or if it's PVC, it should be fine. But if it's like cast iron or something like that from the old,
it's the old school with the ball and socket type of piping. Well, I know the
you need to replace all that.
Yep.
And you have to do that with it's like a bell, and then you stick one in there. The pipe, you know that type of pipe I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. That's old.
What's that called?
Yeah. Someone made of clay, actually.
Right, and what's that called?
I don't know, bro. We don't use that stuff. I haven't used that in years.
The problem with that is the roots of the trees in dry season, they get between that. You know, the camera, and I'm like, what is that hairy shit there? You know, somebody put a cat in the pipe. Oh no, those are roots from the tree. They come down through that joint. Yeah. They're looking for water, and then they clog up your.
Sure do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So listen. So we made it through the Gatun Lake now, and now everybody can, you know, sleep tight, knowing that the canal's not going to end tomorrow. It's not going to be obsolete anytime soon. The water is.
Oh, we're running out of water.
The water's coming back. The canal's going to be bigger and better, and all the infrastructure around it is going to be bigger and better than anywhere in all of Latin America.
Awesome. That's awesome. Sure. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and finish this transit here, and we can watch what goes on. So we made it now through the lake, and now we're approaching Aguas Claras, which is that's the Atlantic side new lock, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, that one has got 3 chambers, like the one in
Stop
Coakley.
it, right. Oh, back up a little bit. Hold that there. Oh, yeah. This is an interesting maneuver for all. Hold that. Oh, right before the word. Back it up a little bit. Before the word. Back up right there. You can see the opening there. There's no approach wall. There's no approach wall on that. Can you zoom in on the locks?
Not really, but we'll be getting there closer in just a moment.
Yeah, so that you got it right there. Oh, well.
If the words go away.
Anyways, you can see there's no approach wall here. So this maneuver is unique. You know, there's no twisting or turning. You don't have a wall to lean on to guide you in. You got to be pretty precise for this maneuver northbound. And
are tugs helping you with this one?
Yeah,
I saw one on the left.
You got extra tugs.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of the water movement there. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get it through there, and then
that kind of swings around too.
Yep, the back end swings, get it straightened out, lined up.
You know, it can get windy, it can get hairy in there. So a high amount of concentration there too. You want to keep that thing straight.
So now on the Pacific side, on the Coakley one, when you went in and you got ready to raise up, you could see the water level on the pools on the right side drop as the ship went up because that water now is being transferred over. In this case, on the left, it obviously already looks low. So did they pump the water in there before the ship gets in and then let it back out into the pool? Is that how that worked?
Well, normally, remember, there's southbound ships coming. So when the last southbound ship clears, that chamber's already ready.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Interesting. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get her through these chambers here. Backed up a little bit, little reverse action there. Got lined up. What would have been the reason to back it up? Did they drift a little too far or something? Or
yeah, sometimes the ship does move a few inches, a few feet. You know, because as you start flooding the chamber, or in this case, spilling the chamber, the vessel can move.
Sure, it creates a current in there. Okay. So now they go out, and interesting that on the Atlantic side, the new canal is on the right side of the old canal, whereas on the Pacific side, it's the opposite. So they kind of, I guess, at some point crisscross.
I mean, the canal's all filled with all kinds of interesting things. You know, from the Pacific, you end up further west on the Atlantic than when you're transiting northbound. So you start further east in the Pacific and end up further west when you clear on the Atlantic.
Interesting. And if anything, you'd assume it goes the other way, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and a lot of people on the news, you know, talk about the canal. Oh, yeah, that eastbound transit and westbound transit. Well, yeah, we don't go east or west. We go north and south.
Right. So let me ask you this. Right here, it gets out of this chamber, right? So we got it into the last one here. It just cleared it, and now it stops there. What seems obviously for several minutes, because the way you can see the clouds moving, it's sped up. But he's spending a few minutes there. What are they doing there before they keep moving?
Yeah, right there. It could have been visibility. It could have been restrictions.
Okay.
He could have had another ship that was restricted
Gotcha.
in meeting. There's
So
a
it's
lot
not
of
a standard operation, in other words. There was something that caused him to wait for a moment before proceeding.
right.
More than likely. Okay.
And so I'll just wait here and then continue. You know,
Maybe that ship was coming in there and had to make a lot of
And you see that LPG, you know, LNG, LPG, all those exactly. So you have to wait for him because there's meeting restrictions.
Gotcha. Okay.
Andrew, when you say meeting, that's when two boats come side by side, right?
Yeah. Where we can in certain key places like the bridge to basin in Balboa, LNG. That's a big restriction too. LNG is a new customer for us, and we've set up a lot of guidelines to make that extra. You know, because that cargo is. I mean, the ships are very safe, redundant systems on there.
But there are safety measures based on what they're carrying.
Very interesting that LNG, that whole, you're taking natural gas to like minus 160 degrees.
Yeah.
It becomes, let me see, what's the temperature of LNG?
It's currently 65 degrees in Cameron, Louisiana, United States.
What's the temperature of liquefied natural gas?
I found this on the web.
Yeah, so it's minus 160, 160 degrees Celsius. Yeah, 160 degrees Celsius. So that is a very, very cold, and it makes it, into a liquid form. But the things that they worry about liquid LNG is that a very small hole or small leak, can result in a catastrophic problem because, let's say, you don't control that. The metal around that at that temperature, all those tanks are stainless steel, very thin. But the steel of the ship is not stainless steel. And if you get LNG, any of that on the deck, it'll start eating away the metal. And if you don't control it, a relatively small problem can become catastrophic because the ship breaks in half or something. That's what they talk about.
And has there ever been any kind of emergency like that anywhere in the world, not just the canal?
Oh, sure. Yeah. They've had LNG problems, of course. Yeah. And they've had activities where I think in the Middle East where they tried to ram terrorist activity. I think in the Middle East, they tried to ram like a boat into one, but they had so many redundant systems on there that actually LNG is pretty safe.
Got it.
Laura was talking about, so this transmodal system, where they take ships off. Now the ships, we got limited drafts in the big container ships. So they just come into Balboa, unload their containers, and then it's better for their clients, and quicker, and they just unload those containers and they take them by train, and the train is being it's been booming. I just waited a long time to get into Diablo because the train was like loaded with containers. And I think they're going to improve that and make that. We need bigger and more capacity, so that it works with the canal. All those, the more you have of different options in Panama, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah, I understand that they are going to add more railroad, like another company there.
More railroad, more bigger cranes, faster unloading. There's all kinds of things that they can do, and we have the potential for it. And this, is the right place and the right time to start doing that. But
about the metro. Are they going to still do that tunnel underneath, Andrew?
That's what I understand. It's going to go under the. Oh, and the other thing, speaking of tunnels and bridges, if you all notice, and I was surprised, after the Sunshine Skyway incident, that there was no additional protection around that Francis Scott Key Bridge at the abutment in the navigable channel. So that thing was basically exposed to any vessel. These big vessels, that ship's over 90,000 tons displacement. I saw they had like the power tower was well protected, but the bridge didn't have any riprap. Riprap is there's a lot of ways to stop a ship from making contact with the abutment. Is with riprap is big concrete rocks or
yeah.
what do you
Something
call
like
it?
an island that's put on the bottom of that pylon, isn't it?
What's that?
It's almost like an island placed on the bottom of that pylon.
Right. And so, but you also have to make sure that the truss is protected because now these guys have an air draft that can touch the truss. So you got to keep not only abutment protection, but truss protection, which may make the navigable channel smaller. So in future bridge design, you got to make those abutments, with caution and with planning, and the other solution is one-way traffic, tug escort, speed restrictions, high to tide, weather conditions, all kinds of things you can do, which we do here in Panama. We have tug escorts if they exceeds a certain displacement. Air draft, which is the draft above the water line. You got to make it under the bridge. We have 15 feet of minimum clearance required, but that's those are all things that you got to look at and think about. And unfortunately, in Baltimore, that abutment or the base or the foundation of that bridge was very minimal, and
There was nothing supporting it.
it was supposed to be.
Ending it, right?
Yeah. So that was unfortunately
Andrew,
doomed when it got hit.
The canal has 3 bridges. Any of those three bridges narrow between the abutments?
No, they're all on shore.
Oh, they're all wide apart. Okay, yeah. Well,
So it's narrow enough channel that you don't need to have anything in the water per se, other than the one at the Thatcher Ferry Bridge.
Right, but that was 1960s technology.
And it's much wider there than the channel in the middle of the canal as well.
What I think they should do with this new bridge, get rid of the Bridge of the Americas. Get rid of it.
Bite your tongue.
It's too low, and these new ships are coming. But make an exit from the new bridge to the approaches to the Bridge of the Americas. You can still use the infrastructure, but just get rid of the bridge.
Right, I got you.
Oh, because these container ships.
Well, hopefully if they do that, though, they make the new one look like the old one because that is an iconic look for Panama. I mean, that if nothing, if there's things that you can say, a Panama for you. One of them is the Bridge of the Americas. So, but that's we're Zonians, we're biased, so you know how that works.
The thing is that
they're going to dig for the metro. Have you heard anything on that?
Yeah, but Ralph, rum drink number 2. He knows more about it than I do, so I don't know why he's asking me that. But the thing is,
for you, Ralph, May 19th. All right.
The thing is,
that's when they protected the abutments of the Thatcher Ferry Bridge.
Yeah, the thing is, with this whole new movement on bigger ships, is that the terminal to terminal, they don't have to go through the canal. These big 20,000 TEU container ships, they come into Balboa, but they got to get under the bridge. None of those are going to get under the bridge. On the Atlantic side, the terminal is north of the bridge, so that's not a problem. But we need to expand the ports, and what they might have to do is make a port south of the bridge, over there by Farfan or by the tank farm. All of that area needs to be looked at into the future for expansion of the port operations, bigger ships, not necessarily going through the canal, but making a logistics center for Panama on the west bank and the east bank, with connecting rails to ports on either side and the canal in the middle.
Yeah, I've heard of some projects that they were talking about, or like on the Howard side of
Makes
putting some
sense.
terminals out there.
Interesting.
Is that still something they talk about, Andrew?
What's that?
To put a big pier or a port out there by the Howard side.
I haven't. I've heard of all kinds of stories, going on expansions, and here and there, Corzall, but I haven't. I think now's the time to rally and get people to invest in Panama with bigger ports on the West Bank and on the East Bank, north and south.
Yeah, hopefully somebody other than China too.
Guys.
So for sure. Cool. Well, listen, Andy, man, we've been on for quite a while, and this has been an awesome show. We've had a lot of really good engagement from the audience, a lot of great questions. Thank you guys for participating, and I learned a lot from this. I learned a lot of really cool things about how the canal operates, how the ships work. I'm looking forward to having a regular visit from you. Maybe once.
I'll give the Panama Canal report.
Yes.
Take anything away from this thing, and this is important to know. That I think most of us have a good idea that big ships aren't like cars. But you can't steer a big ship without the engine moving. You can stick it. That's what it's called. Or maybe if you have an assisting tug, you can indirect steer it and tow it and push it. But if you're just left with the bare bones rudder and engine, and you're not in ideal conditions, meaning in the middle of the channel,
right,
and no wind, and the rudder is actually at in the middle, then once that thing starts turning, and the ROT, rate of turn, starts going, and you hear that click, 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 hard to port. I'm sorry. When she wants to smell the bank, it's going that way.
Yeah, so that's a nautical term. Smell the bank means it's going to drift towards the bank. It's getting pulled in there.
Sniffing the bank, or bow cushion, stern suction. These are all terms that relate to the indirectly or directly to the Bernoulli effect. Water being the velocity equal on both sides, as it gets skinny between the shallow water on the port side and the deeper water on the starboard side, the stern is going to move or lift.
Yeah.
Port.
Yeah, because there's a lot less pressure on the other side. Interesting. No, that's really cool. And again, listen, we learned a lot. Like Devin Kane said, absolutely. I think a lot of people here, we know what the canal is. We know, okay, ships go through, they get raised 85 feet, whatever, they go across and they get lowered on the other side. But the actual operation itself, some of these things are fascinating, and I'm excited to have more of this.
Exciting is what you and Ricky are doing here, because we're living. You guys are living the dream, obviously, here of reliving the Canal Zone days. This easily could have been taking place if the middle bar was open nowadays.
Right on.
But even better now with social media and everything, you guys have had the forefront of the most complete context of what just happened in the real world here in Baltimore, because I've been listening and reading everywhere, and maybe a month from now you're going to remember your show where we were here talking about it. They'll say, oh, he mentioned something about that. All right. Yeah. You heard it here first, in other words. And I want to thank you guys for providing the platform and providing the esprit de corps here of, bringing old times together. It just brings, and it's just a rush of memories, looking and seeing your guys' faces and talking about the Canal Zone, and you things just start coming back. The Owl Show, Wednesday nights at Balboa Pool, the Ancon Inn. Sorry, not the Ancon Inn.
That's for the after hour show. That's for the Owl Show.
The Owl Show, yeah.
Here you go, Ralph. Here's one for you, Ralph. There's Vega. How about
Right
that?
on,
Huh?
guys. Hey, well, thanks for that shout out, Andrew. We are enjoying this. Will and I really put a lot of time into it. We had no idea that it was going to be this time consuming. Not complaining because we love it,
Yes.
and we get to talk to a lot of Zonians, and we get to reminisce. And the great thing, Andrew, is we have a schedule. We're busy. I mean, we have people on through May. Every week we've got some great shows coming up for all you guys.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic, and I want it should grow, and pull on our contacts, our Zonian contacts and links, because a lot of you guys, like your two distinguished gentlemen, are extremely successful individuals that know people who can put a fire under this a really fantastic society that we're part of, or part of history. We're part of history that sadly not many people are aware of, or that perhaps
That's a great way to put it. We are part of history. That's a very unique history that it is no longer there, right? The Canals one doesn't exist, and it was very unique. It was special. We talk about like the Smith family, right? They're 5 generations of Zonians before the canal was built even. So there is a history there. There's an amazing story. All the memories that we have that growing up, our childhood. I mean, from everything, riding a bicycle down to La Boca to go see a friend, going to the ballparks to watch the baseball games, the pizzas at the O'Connor's at the concession stands there. There's so many little stories there. Parks. Yeah, man. So I'm glad that we're doing this. I'm glad that Ricky has jumped on board because he's been a great asset to me for this. Yes. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad you came on board, and everybody that's on on social media that's contributing.
That's
and to your
phenomenal.
point,
and they all
on.
And really, they all talk amongst themselves too. It's a great time to get together. Everybody have some some cheers and just to hang out.
A lot of fun, man.
And
what about getting lick a stick at the Morrissey's house, or Lick-a-Maid.
Right.
Yeah, those guys, they have great
all the sugar candy,
sweet tarts.
Yeah, man.
Stuck on those for hours.
And then who else? Who else was there? Was one down the road off of like Morgan Avenue or something. It was Myra. Was her name Myra? That she sold popsicles.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
That was Steve Berlusconi's ex-wife, Myra. Oh God.
Okay, I didn't know that they ended up getting married, but interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that was his first wife. Yeah. Myra, not Linares. Myra.
No.
She goes by Maria now, just so you know.
Okay.
She doesn't go by Myra. It's now Maria. All right.
Maria, got it.
I just saw her at Jason Cretides' place. So.
She does go to Panama a lot. Yes, she does.
Yeah, she's moving back here. But another interesting spot was, if you all remember, was Tony and David Aller. Does anybody know who they were? 2 brothers that ran, as I affectionately knew it, as the Little Store. The Little Store was a little magazine place at the train station.
Oh yeah. Is the last name. Yes, because they're
Aller.
Yeah, Oller. Their dad, or their son, or whatever, I guess, because they were obviously older,
Hanson,
but he was a Canal police officer, Melvin Oyer. His daughters, Lily Oyer was Mrs. Delaware in a beauty pageant, back when. They lived across the street from us on Amador Road. But I mentioned that when we were doing our Balboa Ram show, the first one, that they had the concession there at the train station, and we would
I lived at 610 Mindy Street, and on Saturday mornings, I would come down and help Tony out.
Nice.
I'd come down there and sell sodas and ositos and pepitos.
They were the nicest people in the world.
Adult education, the very far right side, looking out. I was like, adult education.
Right on.
The cartoon rack. The
Mad magazines. Mad. Remember, we all go to read our Mad magazines.
That's what it was. Merla Hansen. Yes, Chris. Thank you. Good call. Merla Hansen. Yes.
Oh, Merla. Yeah, but she goes by Maria now.
Okay. Right on. Yeah. She lived right behind the last house on Barnaby Street on the right side on that road. Was that Morgan Avenue? That one that went, and it was the beginning of the whole bus stop for Balboa Elementary.
Yeah, right in front of the Balboa Elementary.
Yeah. Cool. That's
We're the third house.
My favorite combination was the lemon cookies with the uva kiss. I would just, you're
look at you.
10 years old. I was just having one after the other in pay. Man, I was like, and then those citos that came in a string,
right?
Long string, pepitos, and we had the jars right there in the main window. The jar, and they would have chocolate, vanilla, lemon.
The bazookas. The bazooka gum.
Bazooka Joe.
Well, we had Pepito. We had Pepito was one of the ones.
Yep, the Pepito had the little cartoon on them.
The other one. Soda milk, right? Soda,
I love it. Listen, this is part of what this show is about. Is the audience throwing their stuff in there, bringing back those memories, triggering those thoughts, and kicking us off with another conversation, So there are going to be days when we're going to have an episode where we're just going to have audience participation. Let's just talk about what you guys want to talk about. We're not going to have any guests.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just run with Canal's own stories and memories, man.
We can probably throw that in next week.
Well, I'm down to my little bohio here. I mean, it's very comfortable. I just want to say once again, this is this lodge that I have. We have a very nice, reminiscent facilities here. You'll feel right at home. We take care of you. We make excellent empanadas. This is our guest sitting area here.
Nice.
So we can. We have the bar, and we have. This is the Bum Richard drinking light. Interesting story on that one. That light came off of that helicopter carrier that burned in San Diego.
Really?
I helped bring that through the canal.
Oh, right on.
A dead tow because it had no propulsion.
Okay.
But you guys come on down.
We're gonna have to go down and do a review on that.
Yeah, we got the pool and the bohio there, and it's just very relaxing. And we'd like all the Zonians and their families to come down. We go out to Taboga, Conadora, and also somehow I want to donate to the show a couple of hats here that we can auction off.
Actually, what we're going to do, if you don't mind, we're setting up a Canal Zone Challenge, which is a really fun trivia show. Get a lot of guests on here, and it's all Canal Zone trivia, Canal Zone activities, even little funny things. I draw something, and the winner, what we want to do is offer a cool Canal Zone prize. Panama Arts, which is Al Sprague's outfit. Cassie has agreed to donate some things. I'm still going to reach out to a couple other vendors there. But, yeah, if you've got some stuff that you'd want to throw into that package as well.
I do. And not only you hear here first, I hope to be able to support you guys financially, with some donations, because I think this is a good cause to keep
Awesome.
Active. And I really appreciate what you guys do. And hopefully we can all grow, make this thing bigger and better.
Grow the community, grow it, bring it back together, grow it.
To me, it's
basics.
It's
love.
It's a beautiful thing.
Tiger.
Yep, and much needed because these memories are fading. Okay, they're going away. The stories are. A lot of our folks are reaching that age where they're no longer around with us, and some of their stories are taking them with them. So, guys in the audience, everybody, if your parents, your father, your mother is still around and they were part of the Panama Canal operation, I would love to have them on. I would love to talk to not just canal pilots, not just Canal Zone police, I want to talk to somebody that worked the locks, somebody that worked in the admin building, somebody that worked in another store, people in the schools. We loved all our teachers. You know, they sometimes didn't dig us too much, but you know, I want all those stories to be shared, all those memories, because that's as much the history and the fabric of the Canal Zone as the pictures of the locks, the pictures of the bridge, you know, the videos, the songs. A lot of it was the activities and the fun that we had and those memories. So let's share those. Let's come together here. Wow, what is that? An ocelot? Holy cow! Look at that thing. But, so anyway, guys, again, thank you so much. Thank you for all the participation. Andy, thank you for joining us. Really, really enjoyed having you on. This was something that I think I can speak for most Zonians here. Really, really enjoyed this because all of us know about the canal, but we don't know about the canal, right? We just know it's there and we know some of the things, but the inner workings there, those little bits and pieces there, and certainly it was a relief to know that the canal is still in good shape and that it's not something that's about to go under like the media is trying to tell us. So again, appreciate you doing this, Andrew. We're going to have this moving forward
here with you all, and I can't thank you guys enough of what you're doing, and you guys are a perfect duo. What can I tell you? I mean, you know,
we were good. Ricky and I go a long way back, and it's funny. A lot of people are like, "Man, these guys are like oil and water sometimes." And yeah, we are in some arenas, but here, Zonian love here, man.
Over now? Aren't those days like over? Having like
so.
Canal
I think so. This is a bigger thing than any other beliefs or whatever. The Canal Zone. We were privileged to grow down there. We were really, really lucky that we were put into this place at this time. And so I'm giving back what I can. I know Ricky is, Andrew, you certainly are, and everyone else that's participated previously and will be joining us. So again, Andrew, thank you so much, dude. You really made this an awesome show. I'm looking forward to having you on every month to talk about the canal, what's going on, what the latest and greatest is, and move from there. So again, and give you another second real quick, a parting shot there. Anything you want to promote your place or whatever, the floor is yours, my friend.
Boats. He's got a bunch of boats. Talk about your boat.
We got boats that boats afloat. Boats through the canal to Boga, Conadora, up to 55 passengers. We can make nice packages where you come down. Bed and boating is what we're all about, really. Bed and boating is a thing where you come down and we take care of you from A to Z, which would be you stay here with your group. You have the whole place to yourself. We have a spa. We have a sauna. We have jacuzzis. We have massages. We have a very nice, comfortable facility with a unique cuisine, empanadas, Argentinian grill. But in that stay, you get to go out on the boat, sailing, Conadora, Toboga, Monkey Island, Tour Lake, and it's all inclusive, which means all you can drink, gin, rum, beer, wine.
You know what? There's another Zonian, Rick Cahill, that does a lot of fishing that we can probably throw him in here as well.
Yeah, he does. Kerry Leggett's got Sunfish Panama as well.
Yeah, on the lake, and he's I've seen him doing a lot of adventure tourism.
So guys, if you want to come on promote your business, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you on to let everybody know what you got going on here. Andrew's got a really, really successful bed and breakfast and a really successful boating business. So anybody else got something they want to share with the group, come on down. We're here every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Happy out at the BYC. So, but again, listen, Andrew, thank you so much. You've done a great, great job for us. Excited for the next episode. Have yourself a very happy Easter, and Andrew.
And same to you, man. A heartfelt hug to both of you. Love you guys. And mi casa es tu casa.
Right. Amen, brother. Amen. And mi canal es tu canal.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Andrew, listen. Have a great weekend. Thank you again for joining us, and we will talk to you soon, man. Take care.
All right.
Yeah, Andrew, man. Thanks a lot.
So Ricky,
really, man, that was
tough, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was tough to follow, but I kind of got the gist of all the mechanics of how water works and all that stuff.
It was fun. It was
cool.
interesting, talking about the whole Baltimore thing, which is a tragedy, but some of the things there, and these guys are in a tough position because they actually had several news outlets reaching out to them, for commentary and whatnot. And, for legal reasons, especially because this is still early in the investigation, they kind of want to reserve opinions. And so
right. You're right about that.
it was, but still, it was something people wanted to know about,
Yep.
And
And
so
what we got out of it was the truth about where Panama is, because we've heard the stories, and everybody's putting, Panama down, and
right,
at the end of the
right.
day, they're just maneuvering to save water. So it was good that we got that info from Andy.
It
Right
was
on, man. Well,
very informative. It was a great show. So next week, guys, tentatively, we have Jerry Curtis is going to be joining us, and this one's probably going to be a two-parter because he's got a lot going on. Jerry Curtis has a motorcycle story that, as we talked about briefly last week, started when they were young kids with little 50cc motorcycles, and here he's going on way into adulthood with a very successful motocross career. He's won a lot of trophies outside of the Canal Zone. He's in Panama right now. He's flying back tomorrow, actually. He's been doing that ocean-to-ocean motocross race. And
we'll talk on that. But he also he's there right now. The ocean to ocean was during the January. He's there. So one of the things that his company down there does is it's actually called Panama Motorcycle Adventures.
I saw that.
He brings people from all over the world, and they drive all around Panama. Places that you and I have never heard of.
Yeah.
So that's what he's doing there. But he'll be with us next Friday. And like you said, it'll be a two-part. Maybe the first part, his childhood, his Canal Zone, and then the second part, his professional and business career in
Canal Zone career.
Post Canal Zone.
Yes,
he's got a great story. And then also we got coming up. We're getting a lot of, because we talk a lot about the Rams, so we're getting a lot of Ram interests. So a couple of the teams have reached out to me, and right now what we have, Willie, is the thing that you want to do, where you want to bring championship teams and bring a couple guys.
Season in review.
Yeah, well, the 76 guys, there were also champions like Paul Myers and Dave Rivera's team. The 76 were also champions, and they're kind of getting a group together of guys that they want to come on. So we'll be having those Ram guys and talk about their championship years. But more importantly than all that, Willie, and not to leave any of the Rams out, is we're going to have on 2 weeks from now, on April 12th.
Yes.
Coach Holland, the one and only Coach Holland, is going to come on and talk football history with us. And then we're going to have as a guest Paul Williams. He'll be on with Coach Holland, and we'll be able to do a lot of history talk on how he brought a lot of football to Panama when he came.
Sure did. Absolutely.
So
that one's going to be exciting.
Story. And
I'm really excited for that one. I've been trying to get Coach Holland for a while. I've been trying to land that interview, and finally got a hold of Eric Holland, and in fact, just a couple hours ago, while you and I were on doing some show prep, I messaged him and confirmed, and he's like, "Yep, we're in. We're ready to go on the 12th of April." So really excited for that show.
Good. Paul Williams is going to be on.
We love the Balboa Rams, but you know what? We also, high school football is big. I mean, nothing's. It's high school ball.
Yeah, Rams kind of prepared us for that because
absolutely did.
The vast majority of the varsity guys were all Rams.
Yeah,
most of us were went right into it.
And it was a real big step. I remember my first year on Bulldogs. Big difference in just the style of play, the offensive complexity, everything else. It was just take it up to another level, right? And again, my coaches at that time, Coach Holland, Coach Martinez, Coach McGee, freaking awesome, man. What a great set of coaches I had. Just absolutely loved everything about that experience. And thank God they had changed things, because otherwise I would have been on them stinking red machines, and instead I was on.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. For all your red machines, I'm just messing with you. That was an
a red machine.
We're good now, but
But outside of football, we also got Frank Pereira coming on to chit-chat with us about his SCN. He was the director for SCN all the way to the very end. So he'll have a lot to hence on the name of our channel, SCN, Canal Zone. He'll be able to inform us and the whole history of the whole SCN TV in the Canal Zone. So that's also coming up. He's on for the 24th of April.
Right on. Right on.
We got a lot of stuff.
We got a lot of good stuff here, man. But it's exciting. We're growing, guys, and the audience is growing. The amount of people. I saw a lot of new faces on here tonight, so that really excites me. There you go, Green Devils, right on. It's again. This show is not about Ricky and I. This show is about you guys. This show is about the Canal Zone and everything that involved the Canal Zone and my life there, your life there, and all of our friends and family. It's the Zonian family is like none other, man.
It's a week of prep. So for a whole week, you get to hear us, you practice with us, we have drinks together. So it's kind of fun. It is.
Yeah, my wife is. It's funny because she's like, your husband okay over there? I was like, yeah, we're good. Don't worry, because we do.
Hey, I'm cutting work an hour and a half early.
Right? Yeah. Man. I'm like, hey, 4:30. I got a jet, man. I got to go home, get a quick bite to eat because I got show to do, man. And it makes it a lot of fun. This show is a lot of fun. I really, really, absolutely love talking Canal Zone with everybody. That's something that's near and dear to my heart, and so
it's the people that give me the energy, that want to do it every week. It's all everybody that
every week,
So thank you guys, thank you. Let's make this happen.
Yeah,
well, really, this has been our longest show, 2 hours and 26 minutes.
I love it, man. Well done, and guys, thank you for sticking around, everybody. Yes. So again, guys, stay tuned for next week's show. We'll be promoting stuff out there. We are looking at maybe doing something, like on Tuesday nights down the road, maybe like a review show where we might take this show and take a few snippets of it, review it, and chat. No guests, just us and you guys in the audience talking about the show. That's, we're going to walk before we run, right? Crawl before we walk. But we are really growing this thing. There's a lot of people getting involved. Hey, Coach, how you doing? Good to hear from you. Volume on my phone is acting up. Can't hear you, but I'm enjoying the broadcast. Right on. Well, remember, Coach, it's always available for replay afterwards. So if you don't catch it live, catch it on the replay, both on YouTube and on our Facebook channel. Coach, I'll send you a link to it if you want to watch it later on. But, again, guys, listen, great show Friday night. Have yourselves a wonderful night. I think I'm out of beer here. Pa arriba, pa abajo, pa el centro, pa adentro. Ricky, any closing remarks before you take us away?
Not much. I think we're all kind of burnt out. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys next week. And, like always, we like to end our show with our very own national anthem.
There we go. All right. Ricky, have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Canal Zone, have a wonderful week. We will see you guys next Friday. Send in some ideas, some suggestions. Spread the word. Share the show with all your friends. Get more people involved. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Ricky, cuídate. Abrazo.
Muy bien, Babito. Gracias.